has changed.
Love there. And welcome back to Let's Love Star Wars, the purely positive Star Wars review show on this, the opening night trivia channel. My name is Alex, and with me is the David to my Alex, David Garcia. David, how are you?
I'm fine. It's holiday season,
Yes.
right? I don't know when you're going to see this, but
I don't, yeah. Depending on when this airs, because our release
it
schedule
might
is
be holiday season of next year.
staggeringly inconsistent. You may at some point see this video, and if you do, just know that we are recording it at some point during the holiday season.
Merry
That is
Christmas,
why,
everybody.
yeah, that is why we are in such a good mood, probably. Um, and we're gonna need to be because we are talking about an entry in the Star Wars, one of the entries in the Star Wars saga that can only be described as existing. Um, it's the Clone Wars,
Movie.
the Clone Wars movie, Star Wars,
Don't
the Clone
don't
Wars.
write that. Don't write that on a whiteboard.
Don't
Don't.
write that on a whiteboard. Okay, Star Wars, the Clone Wars,
Yes.
the theatrically released movie. I think kind of needs more explanation than the other movies, because the other
Yeah.
movies you just have to say where they fall in on this like thing, right?
Yeah. That movie is inherently linked to one of to like the show.
The Clone Wars is linked to one of now like 97 television shows.
Yes.
Um and it's funny because the Clone Wars, the movie, doesn't really make an attempt to even explain anything to you.
No.
They just, here's your movie. I hope you like it.
Just an adventure of like the war
Yeah.
shenanigans.
But it's not just a movie because there are characters in it that are in no other Star Wars movies.
No.
And they never explain who they are or why they're there. They're just there and you have to live with it. Okay. So the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
before the movie, there were a series of like shorts basically that would air on Cartoon Network.
Mhm.
And they were,
Dope.
I was gonna say, very low budget, like drawn on, like very well animated. They were really cool, but
Yeah,
they
it
were
was like
in a
wasn't
completely
weren't
different.
they weren't them the guys of like Samurai Jack or something?
It has kind of like the Samurai Jack aesthetic. I don't know exactly who did it, but they had like a very different art style to what
Yeah.
was
You had
Star
Mace
Wars
you
at the
had
time.
Mace Windu ripping droids with his bare hands.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It's like they had different, like, just the action sequences were limited by the fact that these were like a couple of minutes at a time. They
Mhm.
like had to make the whole thing, but they had like they made the whole thing on a budget of the whole thing probably. So like the budget for each was like the paper that they drew it on and the ink and the artist's time. So like it's they got a lot out of it, and they actually fill in a lot of like interesting, like if you just sit down and watch all of them, it's, you actually get like a really cool insight to what the Jedi were doing in between movies, like, and it's, you get a bunch of stuff explained to you that doesn't even need explaining, like what is this thing that that Jedi Padawan have, what's that for, what does the knighting ceremony look like, what does that look like. You actually do get like some answers to this stuff, and you get some in between, like, hey, how did they kidnap the Chancellor? How did that happen? Actually, that was like a really interesting adventure, and actually, yeah, it actually kind of was. It was really cool the way it happened. Um, yeah, and you just get more background, but you don't really, and you get characters that are otherwise like completely unexplored in films, like they're just not in them.
Ki-Adi-Mundi has a really nice moment.
Yeah, Mundi has some stuff. Yeah,
Ki-Adi-Mundi, the eternally forgotten. You know
yeah.
that there are theories about every single Jedi surviving Order 66
Not
except
gonna say.
Ki-Adi-Mundi.
We know what happened to him. We specifically know what happened to Kiadimundi. Um, so
Nobody wants him alive.
the Clone Wars movie had to kind of take that
It was, and also it was a beloved show. Like
It
people
was.
liked
It
it.
was like a really cool like interlude between you would just be watching a show and then you'd be like, oh shit, yeah, that. You'd watch like Anakin dueling Asajj Ventress in a jungle somewhere,
Yep.
in like a Mayan-esque temple, and then your next show would start, and you'd be like, sweet, that was great. And then honestly, that show didn't seem as cool because it's not Star Wars. Honestly,
Uh, I mean, this is a positive show, but I am not as hot in the Clone Wars show that like everybody else.
well,
I
okay,
really,
so
I,
hey,
I,
let
I
me finish
still
the
like
point.
it, but yeah.
Let me finish the point. So it had to take from that.
I thought you were passing the ball to me, but you
No,
were
no, no,
just
no. It had to take from that. It had to like be a whole different art style because the Clone Wars I think came out actually like several years after the show had just kind of stopped being a thing.
It's I think it's 2008, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then it had to transition and be like a starting point to a television show, while being like a fully like theatrically released feature. You had to be able to watch it and then stop watching it and then be done.
Yep.
But it also had to start this other TV show that they hoped would be successful. And that show was actually really successful, and it spawned. We're still making like Clone Wars stuff. We're still making stuff, spin-offs of the Clone Wars.
Actually, I think the shows that it's spun off are are better than the actual Clone Wars, and you can quote me on that.
I've never seen any of them, so sure. I'm only like brief, like kind of familiar with the stuff that comes after the Clone Wars. From what I understand, Ahsoka becomes really important. I think that's great.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, here's the thing: she becomes really important then for like the side quests. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like the main thing of like fighting the empires is like
not so much.
Okay, cool. She does stuff at the start of the rebellion, and that's
okay.
it.
Not everybody's fitted for it, but
And then she gets
stuff, and that's cool.
And then she kind of gets killed by Darth Vader, and she's saved. She's like, I was supposed to be dead, so I'm gonna go chill for a while.
No.
And then and we are going to get her and Thrawn, hopefully.
Woot.
Yep.
I'm vaguely aware of both of those. So that is the kind of long about intro. And I think longer intros means we have really less to say about the Clone Wars. We're gonna try and prove that wrong.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, let's start with the rankings, baby.
Yeah, the rankings. We have ours at the exact same place, I think. Out of 12 theatrically released Star Wars film, this is number 11.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah.
It's a Wars movie for me.
It is one of the movies that exists in this universe, and I watched it. I've seen it several times. I find more to say about it.
It's okay.
I find more to say about it every single time. I just don't know that it gets better every time I watch it.
I don't think it gets better, but I will say that I like the movie.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I like it. Just okay. It's an episode of the show.
It is
not one of the best episodes of the show, because it has elements in there that kind of drag it down a little, but it's fine.
Season 1 is never the best season. Never. No. I know that some of you are like, what about Game of Thrones? It's not. It's not. Season 1 is terrible. Game of Thrones is terrible. It doesn't matter. The point is 11 of 12 is where we both have it.
What do you have under it?
Clones.
It's right for me,
It's inherently the wrong choice. But you know what? That's your list. Rank them however you want. Do we have the fan poll?
Oh, yeah. I think it has some votes, actually.
That would really not surprise me. I think they're joke votes. If you voted for the Clone Wars, you are the worst.
Oh, no.
Nope. Okay. No. None of you are the worst, then. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No votes. So,
no votes. Well, the fake Star Wars movie that I think Tim Burkalla came up with has more votes than the actual. Well, you know, how are you gonna do? Yeah, that's just unfortunate. Okay, well, no votes.
No,
Thanks.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, feel good about that.
oof, this is going to be a hard episode, but
It's gonna be a hard episode. You can see
Okay,
how much we're stalling.
let's go to the Kevin Kiner
He doesn't really
bucket.
get a corner. Bucket? That's fine.
Bucket? Okay, but I said bucket, but okay, bucket.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go with the bucket.
There
we go.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of Kevin Kiner before. I don't think you chose the best one that you could have.
Oh no, I never chose them.
No, we are so respectful of John Williams. We are so respectful of Michael Giacchino. You found one picture of Kevin Kiner where he's just like, look at my not guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Clone Wars has a score, and it is one of the scores of the this franchise.
Is this going to be the trend of like?
I'm going to say so. Well, the thing is that I'm about to say something that is going to be inherently controversial.
All right.
I like his take on the main Star Wars theme, like the one credits theme.
Yeah. Well,
as much as I like John Williams.
That's.
Now I'll tell you why. Because
okay, go ahead.
For this composer, for this part of the show where we talk about our favorite songs, my choice will be what is, I believe, in the score sheet would be called A Galaxy Divided. It is just the main Star Wars.
The narration,
It is the
A Galaxy Divided.
Yeah. It is the song that plays during like the intro. And it is ostensibly at first the main Star Wars theme. But Kevin Kiner adds like some wicked drums. And he's like going super hard on it. And then it like devolves into like what you hear in like the rest of the score. But it is actually, for a movie that takes place in like 3 different war zones, it is a really exciting score. It has like a really fun action adventure vibe, which John Williams' score of like the score that this is based on, John Williams' piece, is more of like a fantasy sci-fi kind of a thing, not a pulp adventure, making this more of like an Indiana Jones type of a score, which is like really interesting to me. I called this, I said this is going to be like a you pick because it's a remix of like someone else's, but in remixing it, you can't just like change it slightly, like add something to it. And he added this like really fun drum sequence, and then pulling it back and letting it be the song that plays in the intro. That's like, I think that's like really fun. I really like Kevin Kiner's take on the main theme.
Actually, I like it too. Like it plays in the intro of most Clone Wars episodes, actually. So I have heard it a lot, like a lot, and it does a good job hyping you up for what's to come, because the narration itself is like really goofy because of the voice. Dylan Baker, I think it's Dylan Baker. Or that's the clone.
Hugh Lauren's voice?
Yes. It's Dylan Baker, right?
I think so, but I'll check.
Or it's the other one. I think it's Dylan Baker.
Tom Kane.
Yes, Tom Kane. Dylan Baker is the clones, I think. Well, anyway, he goes like, the galaxy divided. They are looking for the hyperspace, blah, 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 blah. And it's really goofy. And the music goes with it because it gives you that like up I'm struggling with my words today. Like uplifting score that kind of gets you like pumped and happy, that you immediately know with that narration and that score that's not going to be a serious movie, and you are not here for like,
this is a goofier
dark and gloomy.
Yeah, this is a goofier movie than most of the movies in the canon.
Yeah.
But it's also way more action packed than a lot of the movies in the canon. It starts like immediately in a war zone in a way that like Revenge of the Sith does.
A New Hope, maybe. kinda a
A New
little.
Hope, but like A New Hope isn't like the opening of A New Hope isn't as like active.
No,
Like
no, it's
the
just
opening of New Hope is like,
yeah,
oh god, a bigger ship. Like this is you're immediately in
yeah,
to
a
like
war zone.
yeah,
Yes,
you're immediately into a war and like space battles, and then you're down on Christophsis with them. It's like it's just like it's a big statement
yeah,
opening with that, and I as much as easy as it would be to say it's just a John Williams rip, which I mean maybe it is. That's but like if you're gonna rip off someone and then just be like, oh, I'm gonna add this thing, do it with John Williams. That's the best composer. Do that. That'll be fine. Live your life, man. Kevin Kiner, you dig that?
all right. My pick of a song is listed in the soundtrack as Anakin versus Dooku,
Mm-hmm.
which, funnily enough, corresponds to the fight of Anakin versus Dooku. I think this score is like starts with a very honestly. This score kind of feels like it should be in a different movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you have had the entire score like with goofiness and adventure, and then suddenly you go like turn turn turn.
Yeah.
So, like I'm like, it's like okay, that was weird,
Yeah.
but I think it works really well because nobody talks
No.
for like me for like a
Half
lot
of
of
the,
time.
yeah. Half
just-
of the duel is them just trying, like
To-
it's just
yeah.
them fighting, and then toward the end, Dooku's like,
And Anakin is like,
yeah,
so, but it's like Anakin is just there, and then Dooku arrives, and they both know what they're going to do. So, like, okay,
you know,
let's try and kill each other. It's just how we do things around here. And it's a really cool shot of Anakin using like the sun to try and
Mhm.
take down Dooku with the score. I think the strings and the drums and everything is really great. I think it's really great, even though it doesn't fit a lot in the movie. It fits the scene.
yeah.
So I think it's
both of these characters are like very menacing.
Yeah.
Like Dooku from like a dangerous tactician kind of a way, and Anakin just from like a brute like strength and skill kind of way. Like they're both like very dangerous.
Yeah.
And Anakin in a way that's like very atypical for the Jedi Order. Like if you see like Asajj and Obi-Wan's, like
Yeah.
it has like an Obi-Wan kind of score more than Adventures, but like for this fight they like lean into more of like a Dooku kind of a score. Just like really slow and plot like menacing at first, and then it picks up a bit. Like that's what the fight between these two would look like, or what a fight between these two would sound like. It's a really interesting interpretation. Because they do this the score after they do them, like they have to sit down and watch it and be like,
yeah,
what are we gonna do with this? And the choreography for that is like interesting, but not like spectacular. So they didn't have to like make it like
Duel of the Fates or something.
Yeah, they didn't have to make it Duel of the Fates. It just could have had a fight scene between two dudes. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so now let's move to the battles.
Ooh, I didn't think about this.
You didn't?
I didn't think about this. I don't remember how the show works for long periods of time.
I can start if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually wanted to pick Anakin versus Dooku because I really, but I'm gonna pick Asajj Ventress versus Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I think it's a little weird at first because Obi-Wan is, I mean, there is like a flirty undertone to that fight.
Everything Obi-Wan does. To everything he does.
Like that smirk he makes when she takes out her like cape. He's like, like I'll tap that, I guess.
Hot.
And I there is like even when she disarms him, there is no I don't think he's worried at any point.
At no point does Obi-Wan feel like he's in danger.
Yeah.
He's like messing, like he's like messing with her.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're here. All right.
She's like going so hard on him,
Yeah,
trying to kill him to impress Dooku, and he's like, "All right, I mean, sure, I'll fight you."
Yeah, and it's not that she's untalented. She manages to disarm him, but she managed to disarm him as like if you're just like rolling, like wrestling with someone, and you're like they're like half your age, you're not taking it seriously, and they just accidentally fall over. He's like, oh, all right.
You made this same analogy when we were talking about the Empire, or when we will talk
when, in the future. Future Alex, remember to bring up
about wrestling with somebody.
Yeah, but like that's what like, and he's even taking it less seriously. Yeah. Like he's playing. Fine, I'll change the analogy. He's playing checkers with someone while watching TV and reading a newspaper, and he's like, "Oh, when did I lose that piece? All right. Oh no. All right. Well, I'll come back."
The shot when she disarms him and she's going like, haha, I have you now, and then goes like, yeah. And Obi-Wan's like, okay.
And he's like taunting her the entire time. He's like, you'll have to do better than that. And then she does, and he's like, fair enough. Yeah, I said it.
Better than that, my darling. Also so British. So British.
So British. He's so
posh. Even though he's not British though, but you know.
They didn't get Ewan McGregor. But they found a guy who sounds staunchingly similar to Ewan McGregor. They're like, how's your Ewan McGregor impression? I can do it. You have to do better than that, my darling. And they were like, hired. I was talking and I forgot to think about my favorite part. Okay, actually, no. It's actually not that hard.
Okay.
I really like the Battle of Christophsis.
Mm-hmm. I had a feeling you were going.
But I mean that. I don't mean like just one sequence. I mean the entire like first half of the movie is like really entertaining to me.
Yeah, I know why.
Do you? Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah. Because you have always said that you like the war part of
that's basic shit. Why do I specifically like the Battle of Christophsis?
I thought
everybody knows that I'm more interested in the war stuff.
I thought you were going to go about the tactics that they follow.
It is. It's the tactics of it make the most sense to me.
Yep.
Out of a lot, because like in most Star Wars movie, it's Force. One of them is like, beans, we don't have enough, and then they leave, and then the other one's chase, and we never find out what happens. That's most Star Wars movies, really, if you think about it. Is somebody has decisive victories, and then they're like, well, we gotta get out of here. In the Battle of Christophsis, it's like a war zone. Like Obi-Wan and Anakin capture the planet. They have to get reinforcements because the reinforcements from the other guys came. So these guys are stuck down here now. These guys mount a counterattack. They get bombarded. So they're like, all right, let's bring the shield out. I don't know why they did that. They didn't do that the first time. I guess shields are expensive. Fair enough. They bring the shield back out. They're like, beans, a shield. All right, let's pull back into the city. We have to figure this out now. And then you have to find a way to blow up the shield, so you have to sneak around. Like, it's the most reasonable. It's not like step one, step two, step one, attack, step two, win. It's step one. Oh shit, we didn't anticipate their step two. Okay. Our step two has to be this. It's like pattern and layered, and false retreats, fake negotiations, like. The false surrender of Obi-Wan, I think, is like, all right, do you have anything we could drink just to buy time? Like, I think this is what fighting more or less in like would look like if you were in Star Wars, and I really do appreciate that. I think the first four, like everything that is the Battle of Christophsis, even the part that is just standing around and talking, going, should we pull these cannons back? I don't know. Nah, they're probably fine. No, and then they're like, we should have pulled the cannons back. We really should have. Beans. Yeah, I think that's all solid work.
Yeah, I agree. I think the strategy of it, like it looks more like what a real life war strategy will look like,
Yeah.
and we don't get that a lot in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's appreciative. We get that more in the Clone Wars show because it's about a war.
Yeah.
But Star Wars usually shows us the most key battles of, okay, we just have to attack with everything we got and pray to God it works. So, I mean, most of the battles in the Star Wars movies are out of desperation, kind of.
Yeah.
So I think this one that's not thought out and it's just capturing planets.
Which I get that, because that's they come at like the end, so you have to make it like this really desperate climactic struggle. But fighting is cinematic no matter what.
Yeah.
Like conflict in a war zone is always going to be like very interesting to look at. So if you just put it at the beginning and say like the rest of the movie has to be as interesting as this, even if you fail, like you have to set it up that way.
Yeah,
like it's a neat way to start your movie.
And it is like the peak of the movie. Like,
yeah, I think the first 45 minutes of the Clone Wars movie is genuinely like really interesting, fun to watch.
They are literally 2 episodes crammed into one movie.
Just about, yeah.
Kind of. Maybe, yeah. It's like what, an hour and a half movie, 1 hour 20?
Yeah, it's like an hour 30, just about.
Yeah.
And
just like 2 episodes, two-part episodes of the Clone Wars crammed into one movie.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Positive things.
Okay.
Let's go to
general topics.
Let's go to, you know what? I like seeing clones fighting droids.
Sure.
Like that idiot that tries to punch the droid.
I think we talk about this clone more than any clone we've ever talked about. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, no, but seriously, in the Battle of Christophsis, we have like, how do I call it? A street level combat.
Yes.
Which I think it's really cool because the droids are droids.
Yeah.
And they're just, but you see the clones moving around and trying to jump the droids, and so the droids aren't as dynamic as the clones, and I think you see the difference between droids and clones very clearly. And then when you go to the monastery, I don't think the droids will be able to I don't know the word. How do you call the things where you get down during the World War I thing in No Man's Land?
Oh, trench? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
You are not the clones kind of trenched themselves like in the Walker.
Yeah.
And I don't think a droid could do that. They couldn't think of doing that.
I think what you're getting at is actually like a really strong point. About even just like just Christophsis in general, but like the whole movie. Yeah. The difference between the clones and the droids is that the droids can only move and attack in straight angles. They can attack what's in front of them, and if they turn, they can only attack what's in front of them. Like they have to just constantly. They can only attack on this angle, whereas the clones can come in from above. They have just more ways to think about it.
Yep.
And so their combat, there's less of them, like just en masse. They're very specific in how they show how many clones there are. You never see more than like 15 clones, and they're constantly taking on like full squadrons of droids, and that's like very specific. Like, and yeah, they do manage to like hold themselves up. They're fighting from on Christophsis. They're fighting from above. They're fighting from the buildings.
Yeah.
And they're specifically like very ragtag. Like one guy's doing dual pistols. The one guy's kicking. Like they're like very specific in how they show you what the clones are doing.
He was like, so punching doesn't work. Let's try kicking.
Yeah, that's a neat trick. Yeah, and they do get, for all of them being very different, like they actually do get, in that sense, like some personality.
Mhm.
You like have to watch a lot to like be able to differentiate them, like just based on like their arm. You have to like kind of know like, oh, that's him, that's the other one. That, yeah, but like in terms of just showing it, because they don't spend a lot of time actually with the clones, just like how dynamic they are. It actually, you do actually like them more, because like they do fight cool. Like and they do fight cool,
and you get to like Rex.
Yeah,
kinda. I mean, he's a character. It's the introduction of a character that's going to be very beloved.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. I think the treatment of the clones in this movie, called the Clone Wars.
You think they spend a lot more time with them, but they don't really.
Yeah, right. But I think it's really cool.
I do like Rex specifically, like when Anakin is like, "That's Rex. He'll show you around," and Rex is like, like, "Oh, I didn't sign up for this. All right, well, okay." And he's not like disrespectful. He's like, "You're a Jedi. I get it. You got your own thing going on. I don't get it, but like, whatever, it's fine." But this is just my perspective. He's like very careful, to like not disrespect Ahsoka, whilst also saying like, "Listen, out here, things are different. Like, this isn't the temple. I respect that you're a Jedi, but like, we've got our own situation going on." He's like it's like a really delicate, because he could have just been like, "Listen, kid, I have killed a lot. I've killed. You haven't. So let's chill." But yeah, he's like very respectful. Yeah, I like the clones. The clones are fun. I've already talked about the first half. Like, I've already talked about Christophsis like a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I will talk about, I mean, the thing is that I'm becoming a cliche of myself. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
I really do. Obi-Wan Kenobi for me is in like the same stratosphere of character as like when Richard Harris played Dumbledore.
What?
This just like, and not that Michael Gambon wasn't great. Like that's neither here nor there. But when Richard Harris played Dumbledore, there was this like grandfather, like prankster grandpa. You know what I mean?
He had an aura about him. Yes.
Yeah, this like very like prankster grandpa who's like, you know, like
I'm gonna hide here and watch the kid.
Yeah, like I'm gonna take something very important from you, and then I'm just gonna watch you panic for it. But at the end of it, you're gonna learn a very valuable lesson. Obi-Wan Kenobi applies that same space for him, but he's like a young, hot guy doing it. And
like, oh wait, it's been a mistake. You have a Padawan now?
Yeah, him absolutely refuse, and we'll get to that in a second. Him absolutely being like, "Oh, I thought you were." Well,
that's
you
what.
Take her with you. Like,
that's what I'm here. I don't know. Like,
his absolute, and then there's like the fake like negotiation. There is no part of Obi-Wan that I don't believe, like this adventure, he's not gonna remember it. Like, like in 2 years' time, he will not remember the Battle of Christophsis. It'll be that time that Anakin got a Padawan, and he got away with it. Like, that's what I think about Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars. It's just like this general, like, oh. Like, this whole week is like one really weird, like this whole weekend, because the Clone Wars isn't actually, It
Yeah,
takes
it's
place
like
over the course of like 2 days, maybe.
2-3 days, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't believe that worked. I can't believe that actually worked.
yeah. It's the time he won a battle had to like for him, the story was I stood here and fake negotiated. Then I went to a different planet, and then I went to a different planet, and everything worked out. But the big
And
takeaway, the big takeaway is I really got away with that Padawan thing. I really got away with that. Huh? He didn't even say anything. He was just like, "Huh, he's an idiot." All right, well, it worked out. I love that. I really do.
oh well, there is a battle, and when there is a battle, Anakin is probably
Boom! It's probably over there. That's probably where.
all right. I'm going to go back. Man, I sound like you now. I'm going to go back to the war part of
Oh,
the Clone
we're really
Wars
flipping places here today. All right.
because I think it's really interesting that the concept of the Republic needing to uh, trade with a gangster
Okay. I
to
have
get
to-
access
Yeah.
of the hyperspace lanes to move troops.
Yeah.
I
So
think
this is
it's
one of those things that's historically viable. There's like a famous story here in the States of like during World Wars, they would like pay off gangsters to keep the waters clear.
Mhm.
So this is and when like the usual lanes break down,
Yep.
there's the criminal lane. Those are still like open and available because that infrastructure is still there. So this is something that's like historically very reasonable to have done. I love the setup for this movie as that being like
Yeah.
the main point. I love it.
Even though it ends up being just take this worm to this place.
I mean, you got to get the deals made somehow. Like you got to make the deal.
Continue, please. Oh, this.
This was your point. I don't know.
Oh, sorry.
This is your point.
You started. No, I just think that again we don't get a lot of war really.
Hmm.
In Star Wars, we get separate battles that are just flashy, and I think these strategies and like Amidala trying to pact with a hat in Coruscant while the other people try to get the favor of Jabba in other ways with the sun, and then somebody trying to kill the sun to blame it on the Republic, so the Republic cannot use the lanes. And I think it's just more complicated than you would expect for this movie.
Sure.
More complicated than Star Wars usually is when it comes to like plot.
Sure. It's
And
complicated like you would in a TV show.
Yeah.
This is not movie complicated. Like movie complicated is like an extra 2 steps usually. Like and for specifically for like Star Wars complicated. Star Wars complicated is go here, get that.
Yeah.
And that's not like a oh Star Wars, you're so simple. So a lot of times simple is fine. If you want to reach like the most amount of people possible, simple is fine. We can all understand it. It's great. In fact, Star Wars is supposed to be markedly simple from a writing standpoint.
Yeah.
The thing is that it's with the Clone Wars, they added it's like a 5-step process to get this deal done for the hyperspace lanes. And it's like the bad guys kidnap Jabba's son to frame the Jedi for kidnapping Jabba's son. The Jedi accepts the deal to go and rescue Jabba's son for the hyperspace lanes, but also the other side wants the hyperspace lane, so they're trying, and it's like a whole it's a whole thing, and it's complicated, but not in the usual format. So it's in a way it's more interesting.
Mhm.
In other ways, if you've only ever seen all the Star Wars movie and you just watch this one, you're like, this is a lot. This is a lot, actually. Why didn't they just say, oh, by the way, we found your son? That's not what that. That's not what the plot was about. The plot was about making the Jedi look bad.
Yeah.
Specifically, they could have just said, "Here, Jabba," and he would have been like, "Thanks."
Booby go boogie.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate that. Jedi voodoo. Thanks. Really appreciate
They have to work. They have to work on their Hatties insults. Straight up calling somebody poop. It's not.
Jedi voodoo. Yeah. I can't think about anything that's not Jedi voodoo now. That should have been my review for this movie on Letterboxd. It's just
Jedi poop.
Jedi
Okay.
voodoo.
It's your turn.
All right. We talked about this, and I guess it relates to your point. I really like the use of Padme.
Okay. Yeah.
The character of Padme she's not really a character so much as she is as a roving plot point. She just walks around and wherever the plot needs her to be.
Yeah.
And she does things. She usually gets she gets one action sequence every once in a while. Padme in this movie is probably more interesting as kind of a roving plot point as any other one. In the sense that she actually, you can see this going either way for her. Toward the end of the movie, she's like, "Oh, I know a hut in town. I can get this deal signed. I can help." And it's like, I don't think that you can. Sure, maybe you can. She uncovers the entire plot basically by herself.
By accident.
By accident. Not on purpose. It's very important that she doesn't do it on purpose. She shows up, she gets kidnapped, and then accidentally C-3PO helps. Thanks, 3PO. She shows up, she uncovers the plot completely accidentally, and then it all works out. Kind of. But there is an alternate way that, if you think about it, Palp's master plan, either the plan succeeds, the Clone Wars are extended for a longer period of time, and Palps has more time to ultimately secure ultimate power. Hey, ultimate power. Look at that. Hey. Or this very tenacious, dangerous senator is out of the way. Either one, for me, works.
Yeah. And if they kill the senator, then he could probably...
Yeah, and if the senator's killed, Anakin probably will be really upset about it. At some point, we're going to have to talk about Padme and Anakin's this open secret, everyone's looking this way relationship. At some point, we're going to have to talk about it on this show.
You haven't seen the Clone Wars, right?
Mm.
Mm.
Okay.
There is a scene in the Clone Wars where Anakin is talking to the senator and blah blah blah, and then Rex is guarding the door, and Obi-Wan is like, "Where's Anakin?" And Rex, and then Anakin shows up, and they talk, and Obi-Wan goes like, "And say hello to Padme for me," and Anakin's like, "Great, thanks." What? It's really great. It's really great. It's just Anakin.
They're not slick. Everyone else just like.
There is one thing, if there is one thing Anakin or Darth Vader is not, it's subtle.
Oh sure.
No, it's not a thing.
You're 6 foot something, man. Just be like, this is mine. I got this one. We got married a while back. All right, cool.
Anyway, we were talking about this movie here. What were we? Okay, Padme. Yes. Yeah, and I think that speaks also to the greatness of the character that's Palpatine as a plotter, and I really like it. They never drop the ball with Palpatine in anything except the last.
No, and he's very deliberate in getting her
Yep.
involved in this.
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh, Padme, you won't believe what happened."
Oh, and did I tell you that Anakin Skywalker is involved?
Huh. He's so it's like a little bit ham-fisted, but in terms of like just pushing someone out of the door, works fine.
Yeah.
Works absolutely fine.
Anakin Skywalker, crazy.
I can help.
Uh, I'm gonna, I'm gonna honorable mention Ahsoka. She's not great in this movie.
Hmm.
In fact, she's a little annoying in this movie.
Hmm.
But I think it's a positive thing that you can look at a character that at first wasn't great and you can turn it around and turn her in one of the most beloved characters in Star Wars. So that's Dave Filoni. Nice.
This is, by the way, Dave Filoni's worst project.
Oh, yeah.
Like ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to talk about the battle, like the assault on the Death Monastery with like the climbing things where they start climbing the rock.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool battle scene and action sequence. I mean, I could do without the race between Ahsoka and Anakin making it less serious, but I think it looked really cool. I don't know.
Sure.
And again, as war and Star Wars battles goes, it's original and it's really different of the thing we have seen.
Yeah.
So I think this movie shows that there are a lot of ways in Star Wars that you can fight.
Yeah.
Because we have never seen like an assault. Well, maybe Hoth, but
yeah, but we don't follow their perspective. This is our perspective on the assault. The thing with the battle on Teth is that again it shows like, okay, the droids can fire out, they can fire down, but they can't quite angle all the way correctly. Like that's a lot of work. Like someone tries and they immediately fall overboard. Like that's what we're dealing with. So like the way they have to go about it is like very tricky.
Yeah.
I have so much to say about Anakin and Ahsoka. This is like my last point.
Yeah, and we'll probably finish with it because I run out.
Okay. Yeah. And then just speaking again about the droids, the thing with them is, and just again going back to the tactics, they try to set up an ambush in like the little hallways, but they don't quite know how to. They have them ostensibly surrounded, but they're just like, at what point do we? And they just never do it because it's not in their. They don't have that kind of timing. Their programming is, they're there, get them.
Yeah.
And but this is like now, like this is like a timing thing, not a like point and shoot. Yeah. So like they like even though they have them like 7-2, they're just like they're just waiting around in rooms, waiting to get like kind of cut down, and it's like kind of funny. It's like low-key kind of funny. Okay. We've avoided talking about this for so long. I think okay, so we talked about Obi-Wan being like, I got away with it. But I think that what he got away with is actually really smart.
Yeah.
Now, the Jedi are not known for being reckless. Necessarily. No. They're not famously known for it.
No,
some Jedi are famously known for being reckless, but the Jedi Order on the whole is not.
Yeah. Generally
known for being reckless. Pairing up Anakin and Ahsoka, low-key brilliant. Low-key brilliant. I think they have a really fun dynamic that would probably get better over time. I haven't seen the Clone Wars. Probably won't ever do it.
It does.
But to me, there's like two reasons why you fight. You fight either because this is the thing with parents, right? You either fight because you're too different, or you fight because you're too similar. Obi-Wan and Anakin fight because they're too different. They're like wildly different. Like they are fire and water. It's Anakin and Ahsoka are the same thing. they are one. They are two idiots that share one brain cell. They one knows nothing. The other one also knows nothing, but somehow has more experience. Like that's what this is. And you just like getting Ahsoka partnered with Anakin. It's just a way of like, all right, how can we hone this into something that's helpful? Because you can honestly very like if she's partnered with Plo Koon, she's dead. She's dead. Like I'm sure Plo Koon was a fine teacher. If Ki-Adi-Mundi was a teacher, she'd be dead. Like 100%, she would have died. But like pairing up two idiot hotheads, as always, is like a funny trope no matter what medium you're doing it in. It's an excitable Labrador paired with like a battle-ready German Shepherd, just like you know that gif from The Simpsons where it's like the tough kid from The Simpsons, and there's like the wimp kid that's just like dancing around him.
Yeah.
It's that, and they're just like they are two whole idiots running on 1.5 brain, running on 1 intelligence.
So Ahsoka goes like, so what if we do that? Anakin, we could do that, and then we could blow it up.
Yeah. Yeah, the planning, the plan. It is very telling that Anakin's battle strategy is always, I got this. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then Ahsoka shows up, and her battle strategy is, we can do this. We've got this. 100%. Blind confidence struck with
the best one of the best things that in that movie about them is like, okay, so what if we take down the shield? And Anakin's like, yep, yep. And then Ahsoka, so how do I take down the shield? And Anakin, I'll think about it.
And then his planning for it is, all right, I got it. Like, I figured it out. Let's go. And he doesn't ever really tell her. He just like, we're going to hide under this box. If anyone else had heard that plan, they would have been like, we're not hiding under this box. We're not hiding under this box. Please tell me we're not hiding under this box. Obi-Wan would have never gotten underneath the box, is all I'm saying. No one else would have gotten under the box. Rex might have gotten underneath the box, but he would have been complaining the entire time. Ahsoka was like, okay.
Let's go. So, why?
Yeah, it's something out of a video game, and it works because it wouldn't work. That's the only reason it works. I love those two. They're great.
All right, so I don't have anything else to say about this movie.
I don't either. This is a weird movie.
Well, 50-something minutes out of 1 hour and a half movies.
We did a lot of stalling.
Oh, yeah. We talked about a lot of different things, but we made it to the end of this episode. So, yeah, close the thing.
All right, so for everybody here at Let's Love Star Wars, we haven't recorded an episode in a really long time. So for everybody here at Let's Love Star Wars, we'll be back soon with the next part. And may the Force be with you.
Okay, my mouse does it. Okay, there we go.